Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think when you're trying to develop a project like this, where you're trying to use a technology that is appropriate for the context, inclusivity is built in. So what we tried not to do, because we all have a lot of experience with teacher training in developing contexts, virtual learning environments, video conferencing, that would be easy for us to go in and say, hey, we've been doing this for years, this is what you need to do, but the context is just not, it's just not possible. So the design of this training course I'm describing to you was based from the principle of inclusivity. Who are we trying to reach? And the people we were trying to reach were disadvantaged primary and secondary school teachers in rural or socioeconomically challenged areas in South Africa. So that immediately meant we had to design the course using the available technology to ensure inclusivity. And that meant, in this particular case, in this particular country, it meant using WhatsApp. But as a wider issue, I think technology has a lot of potential for inclusivity. Apart from this very specific example that I've given you, where I think inclusive technology and pedagogy is the basis, but just generally speaking, for example, if you're running teacher training courses or English language courses or whatever they might be, wherever you are, technology has a lot of wonderful assistive tools. So it's called assistive technologies, right? For example, you know about these things, right? Screen to text, so text to where you have text on the screen, and that's translated into audio. So it's referred to as text-to-speech technology, and that might be useful for visually impaired learners or dyslexic learners. And then you have the other way. So you'll have audio, which can be automatically transformed into text, so speech to text. And that might work for learners with disabilities who can't hear. It's always get these confused. And then you have things like locks on your mobile devices to stop the screen moving around, so if you have mobility issues. And there are many assistive technology tools that can be very easily integrated into learners' lives, so they can use those tools as individuals. That's from the individual perspective. And then from the course design perspective, course designers or instructional designers have got things like universal design for learning, UDL, principles that they can rely on. So making sure that all of your materials are not text, for example. You need to make sure you have multiple modes of representation in your course materials. And then you've got sort of your widely known web accessibility standards that you need to take into account. So don't ever have a red background with yellow text. And that's an extreme example, but I have seen courses where, perhaps the black versus grey or grey versus white contrast is not enough. So it can get quite sort of granular, and those kinds of details need to be taken into account in course design. So arguably, the whole multimodal aspect of online learning is better in a way, or more effective in terms of inclusivity for learners.